Welcome back. You are listening to the home of forbidden romances. Prepare yourself, because tonight's story will leave you breathless. The blade pressed against Ren's throat was cold, but the voice echoing inside his skull was scorching hot, a chaotic, desperate scream that contradicted the icy composure of the man holding the knife. I will burn this entire city to ash if they touch a single hair on your head. Don't move, Ren. Please, for the love of God. Just let me play the villain so you can survive. Renjiro, run, Sato blinked, his breath hitching in his chest, looking up into the gunmetal gray eyes of his roommate, Silas Vang. To the rest of the world, Silas was a statue, a rigid, hypermasculine architectural student who barely tolerated Ren's existence. But the voice Ren heard wasn't spoken aloud. It was the screaming, bleeding thought of a man in love, emanating from the very person currently pinning him to the alley wall. 3 weeks ago, Ren was just a struggling graphic design student living in the shadow of the neon-drenched metropolis of Viridia. He was broke, tired, and hopelessly crushing on his roommate, Silas. Silas was everything Ren wasn't: tall, broad-shouldered, wealthy, and devastatingly aloof. He brought women home occasionally, faceless, elegant creatures who left before dawn, cementing the fact that he was painfully, unreachably straight. Or so Ren thought, until the accident at the metro station. It had been a freak power surge, a malfunction in the city's wireless neural network. Ren had been caught in the blast radius of a blown transformer. He hadn't gained super strength or flight. He had gained a migraine that felt like a drill into his temporal lobe and a curse that no doctor could diagnose: telepathy. At first, it was just noise, a dull roar of the city's collective consciousness. But Ren quickly learned that range mattered. He could only hear the thoughts of those he had a deep emotional tether to, or those in immediate physical proximity. And the loudest, most deafening voice was the one living across the hall. For the first week, Ren thought he was going crazy. He would be in the kitchen, making instant coffee, and Silas would walk in, shirtless, sweat glistening on his pectorals from a morning run. "Morning," Silas would grunt, not even looking at Ren as he opened the fridge. "Look at him," the voice would whisper, sounding like Silas but deeper, steeped in a dark, honeyed hunger. His hair is a mess. I want to tangle my fingers in it. I want to pull his head back and bite that pulse point on his neck until he cries out my name. Ren had dropped his mug the first time he heard it. Ceramic shattered on the linoleum. "Clumsy," Silas had muttered aloud, his face an impassive mask of annoyance as he stepped over the shards. Are you hurt? Show me your hands. God, you're so delicate. I want to wrap you in silk and lock the door so the world can't break you. The cognitive dissonance was enough to give Ren whiplash. The Silas standing in front of him was a jerk. The Silas in his head was a possessed, obsessive worshippers. It changed everything. It transformed their cramped apartment from a living space into a cage of unsaid desires and suffocating tension. But tonight, the game had changed. Tonight, the unspoken war between them had spilled into the streets. Ren had been walking home from a late shift at the design agency, cutting through the lower district's alleyways to save time. He hadn't noticed the black sedan trailing him until it was too late. 3 men had stepped out, hired muscle, reeking of cheap tobacco and expensive violence. They weren't muggers, they were professionals. And then Silas had appeared. He didn't emerge like a hero, he emerged like a monster. He dropped from the fire escape above, a blur of black tactical gear and brutality. He broke the first man's arm with a sickening crunch before the thug could even draw his weapon. The fight was a blur of violence, Silas moving with a lethality that a mere architecture student shouldn't possess. Now, the thugs were groaning on the wet asphalt, and Silas had Ren pinned against the brickwork, a combat knife in his hand, checking Ren for injuries with rough, frantic hands. "Did they cut you?" Silas demanded aloud, his voice rough, angry. "Answer me. If they marked his skin, I'll kill them slowly. I'll tear them apart. I'm fine, Silas," Ren stammered, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. "Who are those men? How did you fight like that?" Silas sheathed the knife, his jaw working as he stepped back, putting distance between them. The rain began to fall, slicking his dark hair back, exposing the sharp angles of his face. "It doesn't matter," Silas said coldly. "We're going home. Pack a bag. You can't stay there anymore. Asterisk, I can't hide it anymore. My father found me. Which means he found Ren. I have to move him. I have to cage him somewhere safe. Asterisk. Ren froze. Your father? Silas, talk to me. You act like you hate me, but I know. You know nothing. Silas snapped, turning his back. I'm doing this because I don't want a dead roommate on the news. It's bad for property value. Asterisk liar. Filthy liar. Tell him you love him. Tell him you've been watching him sleep for 6 months just to make sure he's breathing. Tell him you're the heir to the Vane crime syndicate and you ran away to be normal, but you stayed because of him. Asterisk. The revelation hit Ren with the force of a physical blow. The Vane Syndicate. The most ruthless criminal organization in the Eastern Hemisphere. Silas wasn't just a rich kid. He was royalty in the underworld. And he was hiding. I'm not going anywhere with you until you tell me the truth, Ren said, his voice trembling but firm. He took a step towards Silas's broad back. Silas stiffened. Don't push me, Ren. Why? Because you're dangerous? Ren challenged. Or because you're afraid? Silas spun around, closing the distance in a heartbeat. He loomed over Ren, his presence suffocating. You think I'm afraid? Asterisk, I'm terrified. One touch. I just need one touch. But if I start, I won't stop. I'll consume him. Asterisk. Ren looked up, meeting that furious gaze. He decided to gamble everything. He reached out, his hand trembling, and laid his palm against Silas's wet cheek. The skin was burning hot. I think, Ren whispered, that you aren't nearly as straight, or as mean, as you pretend to be. Silas flinched as if burned. For a second, his mask cracked. His eyes dilated, swallowing the gray iris. Asterisk, he touched me. He actually touched me. Oh God, he smells like rain and vanilla. Kiss him. Take him right here against the wall. Asterisk. Silas grabbed Ren's wrist, pulling his hand away, but he didn't let go. His grip was bruising. You have no idea what you're playing with, Ren. I am not a good man. The things I want to do to you, they aren't gentle. Try me, Ren breathed. The air between them crackled. The rain intensified, blurring the neon lights of the city around them into streaks of crimson and blue. Silas groaned, a low, animalistic sound in his throat. We need to move. Now. He dragged Ren toward the main street, flagging down a cab. The ride was silent, but the mental noise was deafening. Silas was running tactical scenarios in his head. Escape routes, safe houses, weapon caches, interspersed with vivid, graphic fantasies of pressing Ren into the mattress of the safe house bed. They arrived at a high-rise in the financial district, a building Ren knew had security tight enough to rival a bank. Silas biometrically unlocked the penthouse elevator. This is yours, Ren asked as the doors slid open to reveal a sprawling, minimalist apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It's a contingency, Silas muttered, locking the door behind them and engaging the deadbolt. He strode to the window, peering out through the blinds. My father knows I'm in the city. Those men were scouts. Ren dropped his bag on the pristine white sofa. So, you're a mob prince on the run? Silas turned, ripping off his soaked jacket. Underneath, he wore a tight black t-shirt that clung to his muscles. A tattoo, a coiling serpent, peeked out from his collarbone. I left that life. I wanted to build things, not destroy them. But you don't leave the Vane family. You just delay the inevitable. Asterisk, and now I've dragged you into it. I should have moved out the day I realized I was falling for you. But I was selfish. I wanted to see you over breakfast. I wanted to hear you hum while you sketched. Asterisk. Ren walked over to the kitchen island, separating them. Why act like you hated me, Silas? You treated me like I was invisible. Silas poured himself a drink from a crystal decanter, his hand shaking slightly. He downed the amber liquid in one go. Because you are soft, Ren. You are light. And I am. I am something else. If I got close, I would corrupt you. I thought if I was cold, you'd keep your distance. You'd stay safe. I wanted to be your roommate because it was the closest I could get to being your lover without ruining your life. You're loud, Ren said softly. Silas frowned, setting the glass down. What? Ren took a deep breath. Your thoughts. You're loud. Silas froze. The silence that stretched between them was heavy, pressurized. What did you say? The accident at the station, Ren explained, stepping around the island. I can't hear you, Silas. I've heard you for weeks. Silas backed away, his face draining of color. He hit the window, trapped. You? You can hear. I heard you in the kitchen, Ren listed, counting on his fingers, stepping closer with each point. I heard you when I brought that date home, and you nearly broke a glass. I heard you tonight in the alley. Asterisk, I want to devour him. Asterisk, isn't that what you thought? Silas looked horrified, stripped bare. The stoic armor was gone. Asterisk, he knows. He knows everything. The depravity. The obsession. He sees the monster. Asterisk. I'm not a monster, Ren said, answering the thought directly. Silas gasped, his eyes widening. The confirmation shattered him. He slid down the glass wall until he was sitting on the floor, burying his face in his hands. Get out. Leave. You know what I am. You should run. Ren didn't run. He approached the crouching man, the deadly fighter, the criminal heir, and knelt before him. I'm not running, Ren said. Because for 3 weeks, while you were ignoring me, I was falling in love with the voice in my head. The one that worried if I ate enough. The one that wanted to burn the world for me. Silas looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. You? You want this? You want me? I'm possessive, Ren. I'm broken. If I claim you, I won't let you go. Not ever. I'm counting on it, Ren whispered. Silas moved then. Fast. He grabbed Ren by the lapels of his jacket and hauled him into a kiss that tasted of whiskey and desperation. It wasn't a tentative first kiss. It was a collision. Silas kissed him like a starving man, his tongue invading, his teeth grazing Ren's lip. Ren melted into it, his hands finding purchase in Silas's damp hair. The mental barrier between them dissolved completely. Asterisk mine. Finally mine. Soft. Perfect. I'll kill anyone who tries to take him. I love you. I love you. Asterisk. The thoughts flooded Ren, a euphoria of raw emotion that made his knees weak. Silas pulled him up, lifting Ren effortlessly into his arms. Ren wrapped his legs around Silas's waist, burying his face in the crook of Silas's neck. Bedroom, Silas growled against his skin. I'm going to worship every inch of him. Silas carried him to the master bedroom, kicking the door shut. He threw Ren onto the massive bed, following him down instantly, caging him with his body. The weight was grounding, heavy and comforting. Silas hovered over him, bracing himself on his elbows. He looked down at Ren, tracing the line of his jaw with a callous thumb. Are you sure? Once we cross this line, my father will come for us. It will be war. Ren reached up, unbuckling Silas's belt. Let him come. I have the most dangerous man in the city on my side. Silas let out a jagged breath, his eyes darkening with lust and adoration. You have no idea. He stripped his shirt off, revealing a torso mapped with scars and muscle. As he lowered himself onto Ren, skin to skin, the telepathic connection flared white-hot. It wasn't just thoughts anymore, it was feelings. Ren could feel Silas's towering protective instinct, his paralyzing fear of loss, and the overwhelming, tidal wave of love that he had dammed up for months. Silas, Ren gasped as Silas kissed his way down his throat. Asterisk Ren. Ren, asterisk. The physical intimacy was intense, a slow burn that ignited into an inferno. Silas was methodical, treating Ren's body like a temple he was afraid to tarnish but desperate to pray in. Every touch was calculated to pleasure, every thrust a silent vow of ownership. For Ren, the experience was transcendent. He felt Silas's pleasure echoing in his own mind, doubling the sensation. When they finally crested the peak, unraveling together in the tangle of sheets, the mental silence that followed was the most peaceful thing Ren had ever known. Hours later, the storm outside had passed. They lay entangled, limbs heavy with exhaustion. Silas had one arm draped over Ren, holding him tight against his chest. Ren? Silas asked into the darkness, his voice rough with sleep. Yeah. Can you turn it off? The hearing? Ren closed his eyes, focusing. The hum of Silas's mind was a warm, steady background noise now. Asterisk contentment, safety, warmth star. I can tune it out. What? Silas shifted, pressing a kiss to the back of Ren's neck. Because I'm thinking about how I'm going to propose to you, and I want it to be a surprise. Ren smiled into his pillow, feigning ignorance. No reason. Go to sleep, Silas. Good night, Ren. The Vane family would come. The war would start tomorrow. But tonight, the viper had coiled around his treasure, and for the first time in his life, Silas Vane was not thinking about survival. He was thinking about forever. And that is how the viper tamed the wolf, only to realize the wolf had held the leash all along. If you enjoyed seeing Silas lose his absolute mind over Run, destroy that like button. And tell me in the comments, is it a betrayal of trust to listen to your partner's thoughts if they can't stop you? Or is all fair in love and war? I'll be reading your answers. Subscribe for the next chapter. Until then, prompt image. Prompt, masterpiece, best quality, high-res, 1.2. Korean manhwa style, semi-realistic, digital art, 2 men, BL, Yaoi, man 1. Silas, tall, muscular, black tactical gear, wet black hair, gray eyes, intense protective expression, holding a combat knife, scar on cheek. Man 2. Run, slender, messy brown hair, wearing a casual jacket, pinned against a brick wall in a rainy alley. Looking up with wide shocked eyes, hand touching man 1's face. Background is dark rainy alleyway with neon cyberpunk. Signs reflecting in puddles, dramatic blue and red rim lighting. Rain falling, tension, cinematic composition, sharp focus, intimate distance.